Food is more than just what's on our plate. It's the places where it's grown, it's the people who grow it, and so much more. Join me, Janice Person, your host, on Grounded by the Farm every other week as we talk about the foods we love. Everybody, I am so excited. Do you remember I went to dairy farms and then I went to a cheese shop? Well, in my world, those two things have come together and I'm in one glorious place in the middle of Missouri. Hemme Brothers, they have a dairy, they have a creamery, so I can see calves and cows and also see cheese in the same place. I'm talking to David Hemme today. Thank you so much. This is the first cheese farmer I've met.
Cheese farmer. I've been called a lot of things. Some I can't repeat, but I've never been called a cheese farmer.
Really?
But that's okay. That's all right.
Well, I think in the space where people are wanting to go from farm to table, all they got to do is call David.
Well, and we'll fix you right up. The cheese is obviously a really big part of what we do here because we're trying to put as much value that we have on this farm and sell it as cheese. Yeah. Instead of just base commodities.
Yeah.
And our philosophy is very simple. We're set just a few miles off I-70. We're an hour away from the Kansas City Metro, an hour away from Columbia, and 3 hours away from St. Louis Metro.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be a rocket scientist that, if you look at a map of the Midwest, very few people will have the advantages that we have of having
many people.
Yes, and it's the demographic that we appeal to.
Yeah.
In those three markets, and it's not that we want to ignore the small towns or whatnot.
Yeah.
But they look at a piece of artisan cheese, and they think, why in the hell would you buy that when I could go to Aldi's and buy it for $3.59?
They aren't like me. They don't go, I'm going to meet the guy from the cheese that I bought at my local Schnucks. I'm going to meet those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
so you can buy it sometimes at grocery stores. You can buy it at the farmers markets. You can buy it at some of the specialty shops in all of those cities.
But, it's an artisan product.
Right.
The term foodie isn't new by any means.
Right.
But that really is a demographic. The foodies and people that having that face with their food, because there's a mistrust in society that in the food chain of what are being put in, what are the ingredients.
Well, people don't know, right? Like they haven't seen it, and they don't know the process. And I called and you said, yeah, we can go through and we'll show you what we're doing. And sad that I'm on Friday afternoon because you're not making cheese right now, but we saw everything else, right?
No, that's true.
But I think, so I'm one of those people. Like my family is all those people. We love good food, right? And we're willing to pay extra for good food that's a special thing for us or whatever, right? So there's some cheeses where I'm making grilled cheeses for my lunch, and sometimes I'm okay with a Kraft single or something, but usually I want something else.
Yeah.
Because it's like my lunch, and I'm going to really get a nice sourdough bread. And
there's nothing wrong with, just making it, once a week or once a month. I'm going to spoil myself a little bit. I'm going to spend that extra $2 for a nice piece of cheese instead of, just a commodity cheese.
Yeah.
We take a lot of pride in the fact that, we do not dye any of our cheese. We've been approached by numerous retailers that want us to do a shelf stable. Well, that's a really nice way of saying that you pump it full of chemicals that won't go bad.
Yeah.
That's what shelf stable cheese is.
Yeah. Yes. Those little packets that I could put in my lunchbox when I was a kid with the cheese on one side and the crackers on the other side and the little plastic knife.
And there's some brands out there also, which I'm not going to point at, but they've made a killing at it. They've done very well with shelf stable.
Right.
And,
so tell me, what cheeses do you do? How did you decide what cheeses?
Well, when we started this, we went out and we borrowed every dime for this creamery. And hadn't done so much as made one batch of cheese in the kitchen.
Did you take classes somewhere?
No. We had it done.
That's what you call a leap of faith.
Well, there's ways to get around it. But and as far as the types of cheeses, our first cheese, Ron, he's the guy that owns Better Cheddar on the plaza downtown Kansas, or at the plaza in Kansas City. And I went in there one day before he had made any decision on what cheeses. And I said, Ron, if you had to put every dime that you have into making one cheese, and it had to be successful, what would it be? And he thought about it for a minute, and he said, there's a lot of really good cheddars out there, but Americans love cheddar. You make a good cheddar, and you'll have a market.
Yeah.
And he was right, because the byproduct of making cheddar is very flexible, and you have cheese curds.
Yeah.
And we'll make an our vats are 3,000 pounds of milk, so they'll make around 350 pounds of cheese curds, which is roughly equates to about
a lot of people
700 bags of cheese curds a vat. And we will put the whole dang vat
in the bags.
Into bags.
Yeah. So explain in the process what the curds are, because a lot of people have never seen cheese made, and it was mind-blowing to me the first time I saw it, and I was away and behind glass and everything, and I'm like, that's what a cheese curd is? Because quite frankly, I thought maybe they were just soft pieces of cheese.
Well, see, there's a lot of misconception about what it is. Okay, cheese curds, if it wouldn't be for artisan producers, there would be no cheese curds, because big plants don't make it. It started way back, 70, 80 years ago, small little cheese plants in your local town.
Mm-hmm.
And every little town had a little cheddar plant.
In the South, nobody knew what cheese curds.
No, because you don't make cheese there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Missouri, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa.
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. We didn't have cheese curds for a long time.
You don't. Because when you're making cheese, you put to 46, 47 pounds into a quote-unquote hoop. Then you press it overnight, and then you have like a 42-pound block the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you sell. That is how cheddar is sold, is 42-pound block.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're making cheese and you press these curds to make that block, but at the end of the day,
that's a lot of
you
curds.
have 27 pounds of curds left and won't make a block. So what are you going to do with it? You discount it. And working class families would come to the creameries at the end of the day, and that would be
a beautiful way to have cheese. And it's not aged.
It's not cheese. It's very green. And for working class families, that was a very low cost protein source.
Yeah.
For their diets. So that's how the culture was. And then that kind of has disappeared as these cheese plants are so huge today. But there's always been that underlying, I just love cheese curds.
Yeah,
I just love cheese curds.
Yeah.
And so we like I say, we just make a whole batch of cheese curds. Which is fine.
It's funny because a few years ago, I was doing something with a group in Wisconsin, and they wanted to send me a cheese package. And I was going to be at my mom's, so I said, send it to my mom's in Memphis. And cheese curds were among the things in the package, right? And so we had to have this conversation because she doesn't ever see them in her grocery store, hardly. Now they're beginning to pop up a little bit here and there in different places because I think people are learning, hey, this is kind of a neat thing. And people are into sustainability. They love that you're not wasting anything, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's an extra reason to buy them.
Well, at the end of the day, it has to be 10 ounces because that's what our packaging says. So if there may be 4 or 5 ounces left over, we'll Ziploc those. And you make a lot of friends when you can't sell them, so you give them away. And I see my retailers looking at me like, I wonder if he has any samples he's giving away.
Any extras.
But no, it's... and that's going back to why we started with cheddar. That's why.
Yeah.
Because of the versatility. And since then, we've added a spreadable German cheese. Nobody knows what it is.
It sounds like there was a computer program or something called Quark.
Yes. Yeah. Or, And most people don't realize that over half the cheese consumed in Germany, Poland, and Austria is quark.
Okay.
But it can be anything. Ours is actually on the dry side, which is meant for baking. You can have, if you've had it though.
I haven't. I'm going to have to take some with me when I go.
There's really no taste. Think of what we have. There's no taste. Think of a dry, plain yogurt.
Huh.
Plain yogurt has no taste.
Yeah.
It just has the yogurty tang. And then you add things to it.
Yeah. It'll pick up the flavor of whatever you put in it.
Whatever you put in it. And that's why most of what we sell goes into food service, because chefs love that component, because they can do all the flavoring and go 1,000 different ways.
Yeah. One of the ways you were telling me you do something with honey and blueberries.
Honey and blueberries. Yeah. And so you have this smooth creaminess. Think of all the different types of Chev.
Oh, yeah.
Goat cheese. And what they do is it's the same principle. Chev really has no taste.
Yeah.
So what do? They put this and that and whatever topping on it, and
pistachios and all those kind of things.
And all that sort of neat stuff. Now we do sell, the only flavored one that we have is honey quark. And in Germany, that is a thing.
Okay.
They add honey. And because, just think of it. Okay. So what do you have there? You have pasteurized milk and honey. And it give you the flavor profile of, it's like as decadent as cake icing.
Just sit there eating cake icing.
Yeah, but there's no guilt.
But
there's
no
not
guilt.
As much sugar. Pasteurized milk.
The honey has got some sugar, but it's honey.
It's honey. Yeah, it's honey. I mean, you don't really, you don't have to feel guilty about eating that. And that's really what the artisan food.
Is your family got a German background or something?
Well, I'm 100% German.
Okay.
Yeah. All my roots in the family tree.
Yeah.
And actually, we visited 7 years ago. No, 17. Well, my wife and I visited the Hemme farm in Germany. Their dairy farm that does value added.
Nice.
And it's it's unbelievable. I mean, we walked in there and I could have a conversation with them. That farm has been the oldest son always got the farm.
I love it.
It's been in the farm the farm's been in the family since 1589.
Wow.
Right now it's the 18th consecutive generation. And 11th of September, he'll be here. And I get to show him my dairy farm.
That's really cool. That's
I'm really looking forward to it.
That's really cool. I'm sure he is really looking forward to it.
He and his two oldest kids are coming over.
Yeah.
You're going to spend about 10 days touring dairies in the United States. And this is his last stop before he goes home. But, yeah, that's going to be super cool.
Oh, wow. I love it. So you do the cheddar was where you started, and then you did this quark. And now, what all have you done to the cheddar, and what else are you doing?
Well, the cheddars basically got 7 flavors of block, and probably adding a couple more there, because we don't have a retail of our own yet. Mm-hmm. A couple of years, we do have blueprint. I don't know when we'll build that. But then this past winter, we did add a melting cheese.
Oh, yeah. You showed me that in there.
Yeah, and it's we didn't know what to call it. I mean, it melts well, great stretch, good flavor. So we decided to call it pizza cheese. Mm-hmm. Well, it works great for...
The Italians love that.
To make a difference. They when we thought we would at least find some artisan pizza places that would use it. Mm-hmm. And we were wrong. Not one. Not one, because cheese to any pizza is just the low grade cheese you can buy. It is fat free. Every one of them, because they'll do the flavoring with their sauce and their toppings.
Yeah.
And all they have cheese there for is...
Yeah.
And so that has been a bust as far as pizza, but we're finding that, for instance, like Kansas City, look at the census. There's 400,000 first generation Hispanics that live in the Kansas City metro. And they hate American version of Hispanic cheese, because
I go to a Hispanic market myself for things, right?
Yeah. They because they pull the fat, and then they add just enough fat to where they can sell it, but it's just not the same because they don't have the separation capabilities in the Hispanic countries. It's all full fat,
right?
And that's what they used to. That's what they like.
Yeah.
And so we're having what we thought was going to be a pizza cheese is probably going to wind up being a
quesadilla cheese,
quesadilla queso, which is fine. And
honey, I can tell you, listening to this podcast, there are crazed queso fans. Like when you're a queso fan, you're one for life. It's a special space.
So we'll see what road that takes us. And then this time of year, we start about the 1st of May this year, and we'll go through probably Labor Day weekend with fresh mozzarella.
Okay.
Fresh mozzarella, people ask, why is it seasonal?
Oh, my God. I love
it. It is unbelievable. The American mindset is summer ends Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Caprese salads also end Labor Day weekend.
Not mine. Not in my house. Never in my house.
But our sales will just absolutely, and we're tying up an entire vat to make a
fresh
product.
Mozzarella is my favorite grilled cheese.
Oh, it's
like,
wonderful.
With like some pesto in there, maybe. Oh my gosh. It's like a savory one. Then if I put some blackberry jam in there, it's a sweet one. I'm all over the fresh mozzarella. But I lived in New York for years, and I was used to being able to get it all year long. And you found different things to do with mozzarella because you could always get it right out of the water.
Well, here it's I'm guessing maybe 70%.
And it's a fresh product, so you can't just carry it over forever.
Well, you stick it in the freezer.
Yeah.
I mean, and that it does freeze halfway decent, but we're not
set up to freeze a whole bunch.
Not set up to freeze huge amounts. So.
Yeah, and it stays around. That's interesting. So, do you have something else that's currently a seasonal product?
Well, actually, artisan cheese to some degree is seasonal.
Okay.
In that, like we have Burger Smokehouse, and I think they took this year right at 60,000 blocks, and that is for the gift boxes.
Okay.
And so that's seasonal.
Like a heavier smoked might be more popular in the winter. No.
Well, I can't say that. Actually, our Brother's Keeper, our sharp cheddar.
Yeah.
I mean, it just knocks it down year round.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll sell more of it because people will spend more money on an artisan project for Thanksgiving, Christmas.
They want to have all the nibbles around the house.
Yeah, they want to make it something special.
Right.
And then come January, February, March, it's a desert around here. Because everybody, their credit cards are maxed out, and they went back to Velveeta.
It's a sad day when you go back to Velveeta.
And then it's just reality. Sets into all the sin that you committed. For the last 80 days. So.
You eat all the things you were supposed to have been eating all year long. You suddenly remember it in January and February, and you start eating the way you were supposed to.
Yeah,
a little bit more often, and having those special days a little less often.
Well, unfortunately,
You said that your family in Germany has been at it for 15 generations or something. 18. Okay, so. How long have you guys been in the dairy business?
The first weekend of the Missouri State Fair 7 years ago. That was the first day that we sold cheese.
So you've been doing cheese for 7 years. How long have you been doing cows? Dairy?
Dairy cows. My dad milked and he sold them.
Okay.
And I got back into them.
So your dad had cows.
Then you got out of them. Every generation's had cows. But dairy cows are something that
that's a lot of work.
You have to be a grinder. I mean, people say, I just don't know how you stand doing that every day.
The hustle.
No, it's not every day. It's every 12 hours. It's every 12. Every time that 5 o'clock rolls around, you know where you're at.
Yeah.
So if you're not a grinder, you'll hate your life. I love cows, and so it wasn't a problem for me.
And you have family that love cows. Like you've got sons and all in the business.
Oh
with
yeah,
you?
yeah. I mean, I would say that like Michael right now is the cow manager, manages the milking herd. You'll have to go a long way to find somebody better than he is in regards to managing the cows.
Mm-hmm.
He is a dairy cow demands the same type of work that your marriage does. You can't take a day off. You can't let it slide.
Yeah.
You have to work at it every day.
Yeah.
And
surely somebody gives him a vacation every now and then, but otherwise he's on it every day.
Well,
not very often.
No. Shannon and I, for years we didn't take a vacation.
Yeah. So, so you have a son that does cows. You have a son that does crops.
He does crops and
because you got to feed the cows.
Yeah, and he does the replacement heifers.
Okay.
And then Nathan does just cheesemaker / manages the creamery, and he has bees
for the honey.
For the honey, yeah, to put in our cheese, and then we take the whey from the cheese production, and then we feed it to Berkshires, and then I take that
and that's
meat.
where
that's where the charcuterie comes from.
Oh my gosh!
Well, yeah, because it's whey-fed Berkshires. I mean, how exclusive is that?
So I do know a few people who have Berkshires, but I do know people who have done things like walnut fed.
And that can
and stuff, but in California, but whey fed pigs, so you can make
that is
like summer sausages.
Oh no,
all the things. What do you make?
No. And everybody has summer sausage.
I did not mean to offend.
Well, when you're in the business we're in, people want to
go up a little bit higher every time.
That's why we have sopressata. We have Finiciona, we have capicola, we have Spanish chorizo, we have sweet bologna. We have the things that are really nice because if we go to the St. Louis side of the state, those folks over there really do a great job.
The hill section, we really like good Italian food.
Well, you can go from downtown. You have Volpe down there. Mm-hmm. You have Salumi Bedu, which are killer, and then every little meat shop down all the way down to Jefferson City, they all do a great job.
Yeah,
you go to Herman.
Yeah.
They're all wonderful.
Yeah,
and so we go there, and one thing that we haven't done yet, we're waiting for certification, but it's a Landjager.
Tell me more.
Jager is a German word for hunter.
Yeah.
It's a hunter sausage. And it was a precursor to the snack stick. And so what you would do, when you go out to hunt, you would go to the smokehouse and tear off a piece of sausage, and you wrap it up in a cloth and you stick it in your pocket for a snack.
Yeah. You're not eating while you're out there.
But it has really, really good flavor.
All right. Now I'm looking for that when you get it done.
Go to Herman. No. Go to the Bavarian Smokehouse in New Valley. Yeah, you can go to these little German shops all over the place, and you can find Landjager.
Nice. Okay.
But that's the kind of stuff that we want to do. We want to do the stuff that that you're not going to go into your local grocery store and get, because we want to separate ourselves from the average ordinary.
From the standard.
So if you want something that's really nice, it's really good, highest quality, you don't pay more for it. But, we can't go out here and compete with Kraft and Tyson.
Right.
So the only thing that we can do is have a much higher quality product and then charge more for it.
Right.
So that's the only way we can survive, and we keep a very close eye that our quality is where it needs to be, or else.
I'm a bit of a cheese snob. I've been willing to accept that title for a long time. I still eat block cheeses that are in the grocery store and stuff too. I mean, I like cheese. It's not a problem. But I do always have some nicer cheese that I'm trying or tasting or doing something different with. Now, one of the things I asked you is like, how do you decide what flavors to offer? Because, I mean, besides cheddar, then how do you start deciding you want to smoke it with this kind of wood or that kind of flavor? And
Well, like I was telling you earlier, when we went to the American Cheese Society, people don't even realize there is one of those, but it's a big deal. In any event, artisan cheesemakers from all over the Western Hemisphere, talking about South America, Central, North America, they all come together in one spot. And one night they have what they call Meet the Cheesemaker. And then they open it up to the public. Public can go in there and sample. There's 3,000 cheeses, artisan cheeses that are out there. And they're cut toothpicks. You go and you try all these cheeses.
I'm going to have a media pass next
that's
year.
how we decided what we wanted to make. We would go through there and... that's how we wound up making an espresso cheddar.
That's a weird one. I just have to say, espresso, I get it. Cheddar, it sounds different.
Well, it does. It sounds weird. People are kind of taken back, but nobody's taken back by putting cream in their coffee.
Not at all.
No. See, that's normal. See, it's the same thing. It's only the other way around.
I love it. I'm going to have to try it.
I mean, the people that try it love it. I mean, they're and if you look at it, you think you're going to be sucking on coffee grounds. It looks awful. I think the look. It probably has more to turn people off than the sound of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to imagine how many different cheeses there are at a thing like the American Cheese Society. But the girls from Sweet Freedom Cheese down in Fayetteville, Bentonville area, they said that's like going to Mecca.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of goat cheese that you will find. Just commodity goat cheese. Mm. Now, if you go there, they have goat cheese that is absolutely the most wonderful cheese you'll ever have.
Now, you told me there was a really good goat cheese near St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. 2 hours south, Beige Farms.
See, I'm getting that recorded now because I did not write it down.
Okay, yep. Beige Farms is 2 hours south, Bloomsdale, Missouri.
Okay.
And they compete on a world stage.
Okay.
Their cheeses. And they should, because they do an outstanding job. But you have to do an outstanding job with your goats.
And you have to do it on a consistent basis. Like you can't have any fluctuations.
No. It's harder than cheddar. Cheddar is much more forgiving.
So where else in the Midwest, like what other cheeses do you really love? I mean, obviously, we've already told everybody go get the Hemme brothers, and they can get that at the Columbia Farmers Market, the one in Overland Park. They can get it. Where else?
Well, you can go on the St. Louis side of the state. We're in 95 Snooks. We're in Deerbergs, I think, with 5 or 7 cheeses in Deerbergs now. And then you look around between myself being a distributor on that side of the state, taking in little wineries and whatnot, and our distributor there, Fox River. You can find it in a lot of smaller shops, whatnot. Then
I love a good cheese shop. Seriously, there's like the thing about shopping for groceries versus shopping for cheese. I want it to be like a special area of the store.
Yeah.
Not just like the little shelf like when I was a kid and I'd go to pick up cheese. I want like an area where I can see all kinds of different things and taste them preferably. And that's why a cheese shop comes in so handy.
Well, I see, as we started making artisan cheese 7 years ago, 9 years ago, when we first started this process, started the planning of it.
When you started asking for money from the bank.
I had never had what I would consider to be a decent piece of cheese in my life. Because out here in rural Missouri, it's just not offered.
Yeah.
there's not a deli section that has nice cheeses.
Yeah.
You just have the dairy section that has your commodity cheeses, and that's just what we had. We didn't have access to it, and then we were using a consultant, and they took us to the Better Cheddar, and they don't do it anymore. But at that time, they could sample.
Yeah.
And then, oh my gosh.
You can still at the Sweet Freedom in Bentonville. And I may have worn her out while I was there.
Well, every health department looks at that a little different.
Yeah.
We've been finding that out.
Depends on states, depends on cities,
Jurisdiction.
depends on all those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's just some unbelievably good cheeses.
So where are some of the other names that we should look for when we're in these really good cheese
Okay,
shops, like other farms that do or creameries?
Okay, we've already mentioned Beijing.
Yeah.
Now up here at Weston, there's Green Dirt Farms.
Green Dirt Farms.
Unbelievably good.
What are they making?
They make sheep cheese. They milk sheep.
Okay.
And they will sell this in little bitty, I don't know, maybe 4-ounce containers.
The little round ones.
The little round ones, yes.
I know of these.
And it is just the best cheese you've ever had. The problem that they have with it, it's not, I wouldn't say that it's a great business model in that they struggle with shelf life.
Oh, yeah.
And so they make it, first thing they got to do is take this up to Kansas City International in dry ice and fly to one of the coast.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's expensive. And so
Yeah.
by the time he gets to this little cheese shop in Boston or San Francisco, well, it's already pretty doggone pricey.
Yeah.
And so they struggle with that. But as far as you want to have
whereas
an
you've
experience,
got lots of people for cheddars
Yeah,
right here in your backyard.
and they know what it is.
Yeah.
But as far as great cheese, they have great cheese. The best blue that I've ever had came out of Oregon.
Rogue. I've been there.
Rogue River Blue.
Been there.
It is.
Now I've got my cheese snob roots showing clearly.
Oh my gosh. The French did not take it well when they took that Rogue River Blue to international competition and won. Then the French think they're the only ones that can actually make cheese.
Yeah.
And they went in there and they kicked butt. But we were there last, I guess it's been about 18 months ago we were there.
Yeah.
And we went through the plant and then
It's near Ashland, Oregon. I can't remember which town it's in.
I can't remember either.
But it's southern Oregon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We went to see the cows. Mm-hmm. And then it's quite a drive to the creamery. The creamery. And then they went through the process of, they'll taste and see if it qualifies in their mind to be good enough to go ahead and
put the Rogue name on it.
Put the grape leaves, the brandy's of grape leaves on it to really enhance the flavor, because that is expensive.
Yeah.
And some of them that aren't very good, we smoke.
Yeah. Well, you guys don't use grape leaves. You use wood boxes, though.
Well, we're in cryovac, and now if you want to have our cheese that is killer, go to the. I don't have one. I need to get one from him. Anyway, his name is Lincoln Broadbooks. He's a manager there at Better Cheddar. Mm-hmm. He will buy one of our 40-pound blocks, and he will do an old world aging on it down in the basement. They have a walk-in cooler down there. Mm-hmm. So what he does is he takes this and he wants a young cheddar. Hopefully it's less than a day old. Then he takes down there. He melts the lard, and then he'll get his glove on, and he'll take this lard and he'll cover this 40-pound block of cheese and lard, and then he'll set it on a shelf for a year and let it make its own rind.
Get out.
No, go down to the Better Cheddar and look for 48th Street Reserve.
Okay.
And it has our name right on it.
Yeah.
But there's a hard rind.
Yeah.
But it is the outside of that thing is the most multicolored mold you've ever seen in your life. And you open up the door to that, and
you smile so much when you say, "Oh my gosh, this mold!" The way if only people could see the stars in your eyes. Most people don't think of mold that way.
It is the coolest. It's like for instance, like Volpe or
Yeah.
Salumi, with they purposely spray these spores on the salami. Mold grow.
Yeah.
And it just enhances these flavors. And that's
Same
what
thing
happens.
for really good country ham.
Yeah, absolutely. A smoked ham is going to be just a moldy mess. And I've done capicola here,
Yeah.
just for me. And I've bought the spores and let it turn green for 6 weeks at 60 degrees, and
Cut it off. You're good.
buy vinegar and water
Yeah.
and a rag, and I just washed it off and cut into it. It's just, but in American culture, mold is everything moldy goes to the dumpster.
Yeah.
But when we build our retail, we are going to have a walk-in cooler with glass on the retail side.
Oh, okay.
Where people can come in
And see what you're doing to develop it.
Old world aging process is. We take for granted that there's always been refrigeration.
Yeah.
Well, no, refrigeration is very new.
Yeah. Ice boxes.
Yes. And so what did the English and the Irish do for the cheddars way back when? They would either do that or what they call bandage wrap cheddar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a gunny sack, and you wrap it up in a gunny sack, and then you soak the gunny sack in with lard, and then you would set it in a cave.
Yeah.
And you'd let it age in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever you needed cheese, you go in there, and then you clean off the best you wanted to, and there you had that. There's your cheese.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not just doing it in the caves anymore.
Okay. Well, FDA wasn't around back then, I guess.
Right. And if you wanted to do that for yourself, that's fine for you to do at home, but not for sale in the market today.
Lincoln at the Better Cheddar, it's not just our cheese. He's trying several other cheesemakers, and he's doing that down there in his basement, and it's available for sale, and it's 48th Street Reserve. His Old World aged cheddar is his best-selling cheese in the whole shop.
And it's all value added to him, too. Like you value added here.
Well, let's just say
and then he added value there.
But he's in the high rent district. And I don't, he doesn't sell cheese by the pound. He sells it by the ounce.
Yeah.
And so, you go in there for your Rogue River Blue at $52 a pound. Well, no, you're going to buy $17 worth.
Yeah.
Because you're buying 4 ounces.
Yeah.
And so I don't begrudge him, marking for every dollar that he pays us, the consumer pays $7.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge him that because he's earned every bit of it.
Yeah. It's a process.
It is a
and
process.
You've got to be willing to do it.
Yeah. And you're cutting this stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like I say, the rent on the plaza, I know what those rents are. And it'll oh my gosh.
So tell me, what are your favorite ways to enjoy cheese? How do you eat cheese the most? Or like as a special thing, what would you do?
For instance, this Sunday, we take turns, our Bible class takes turns with snacks.
Okay.
And so it's caprese season.
Obviously. Tomatoes are beautiful.
Yeah. And so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go to the baker there and pick up a couple of ciabattas, and then I have my sopressata, and then I'll have some grapes, and I'll have kind of an Italian theme.
Yeah.
Sunday, and so that'll be great. And then later in the year, I'll probably pick out 3 or 4 cheeses and some meats, and then I'll probably add honey to the quark, and I'll get some really thin wafer crackers that really don't have any flavor, just something to carry the quark. And we always have some fruit with it too.
Yeah.
And just depends on the season. We want to do something more seasonal.
Yeah. Yeah. And at home, how should I be treating my cheese?
How should you be what?
Treating my cheese. Like, what should I be doing like with cheese when I buy it? Like, should I just eat it right then?
Eat it. When we were visiting 7 years ago, we were visiting my very distant German relative. We have butter on our counter. Always have.
Yeah,
We've never.
I have a butter
refrigerated
dish.
Butter. Yeah, butter dish. Mm-hmm. They have a cheese dish. So they buy a piece of cheese, they put it in their dish, and they eat it. Novel concept to most Americans. They just go ahead and eat it.
Yeah.
Because they don't.
When you come through the kitchen, have another snack. Cut a piece off.
Yeah, but that's, it's different.
Culturally
culture.
very different. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, for instance, like our Brother's Keeper aged cheddar, grilling season for an appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
We'll snap the stem out of a portobello and put just a little piece of the Brother's Keeper in it. And then just melt it. And it's just a killer.
Yeah.
Just a killer appetizer.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. I mean, I save the stems for a salad.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't have to be. You're not looking at Betty Crocker.
That's okay. I didn't.
So, no, but you don't have to be.
The thing like if you have cheese on your mind, how many hours of the day, every day?
Well, the problem is that I'm around it maybe too much.
Yeah, but you end up knowing different things than other people.
True.
And other people can come at it with a creative lens and say...
Well, for instance, we have one of our distributors, Buttonwood Farms, out of California, Missouri, and they do free-range chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful poultry. I mean, we're talking about, oh my gosh, I didn't know chicken could taste like this. It's that good. But then, we had our melting cheese, and so chicken marsala.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, it's which we would have never... Without getting into the artisan food business, we wouldn't have been exposed to all these things. I've got a chef right now that's using our melting cheese, our pizza cheese, and he's using a potato pasta.
Yeah, like gnocchi.
And then putting that cheese on the inside of it and then melting it.
People in Sweet Springs, Missouri don't usually know about those things unless they get into artisan cheese, huh?
They don't. And like I say, when we do build our retail, it's going to have a retail store, and then it will have a cafe.
Yeah.
We're going to have a seasonal cafe, and then so your bulletin boards along I-70 are going to look a little different because in summertime we'll have caprese salad, or then we'll have gourmet.
When is this retail store supposed to open?
Well, you tell me what the Federal Reserve is going to do with interest rates. We're not, we are concerned about interest rates as far as costing us more to borrow money.
Yeah.
But I need a strong consumer.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is weaken the consumer. And so I'm old enough that I remember the 80s, which were a bloodbath in agriculture. And I'm going to wait.
I do too.
I don't need another bloodbath.
None of us do. Let's change the subject because that is really, really sad and
on the back of all of our T-shirts, and on the back of it says "Better from the Beginning."
Says it on your hat. Says it on your T-shirts.
Yeah, and really that is the theme because we start from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And so with my son John that does the agronomy, we're doing the regenerative ag. And so we are actually, Mars Candy Company sent us a check last year because we have an excess of carbon credit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
you're storing so much carbon.
Because they can't.
Yeah.
So they send us a check, and that way, it's like Google. Every once in a while you'll see Google stuff will pop up that says carbon neutral since whatever year. Well, that's what they're doing is buying carbon credits. And that's what we're doing is we're not doing it for the check.
Right.
We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. We want to take the carbon out of the air and then turn that into organic matter in the soil.
It does so much better when there are things actively growing because plants can then sequester carbon.
It has
so,
to grow, yeah.
So the summer, we typically have a lot of things being sequestered. Are you guys able to do like cover crops or something so that you can sequester more of the year?
Okay, I'll take a farm that Nathan bought for an example. This particular, not a farm, it's acreage, 20 acres. So we had wheat this past year. We combined the wheat and got a wheat crop. But right now it's buckwheat, some different snow peas, sunflowers, Sudan, you name it, there's just a cornucopia of different things growing. And right now it's probably about neck high on us.
Okay.
And so
neck high on me.
Yeah. I mean, and
so you've let it grow up so that it looks like
up.
almost looks like nature, even though it's a cover crop of things.
It's just and there's this blend because we're trying to, like buckwheat is really good as far as taking phosphorus out of the air and put it in the ground.
Okay.
So
buckwheat's better at that than other things.
Than say sunflowers.
Like soybeans pull more things and put nitrogen in.
Yeah, that's legume. So it can put nitrogen in. And so we have this mix. So we'll let this thing just grow. Mm-hmm. And then the frost will come. And all these things are going to die because frost will kill them all. Then we'll go in with a winter annual, which will be like rye.
Okay.
A cereal rye. And it'll grow anytime it's over freezing, cereal rye will grow. So by February, that field will be green again.
Yeah.
And even though it's the middle of winter, it will be capturing carbon.
Yeah.
And putting carbon in the soil.
Yeah.
And then when it warms up, well, man, she really gets going then.
Yeah.
But then we'll go ahead and kill it. And then we'll plant the soybeans.
Right.
So we will, and in between all that, we will take some composted dairy manure that we have here and hit it with that. And the first thing you know, we'll have that place turned around. But we have to do these steps as far as getting the air cleaned up. And the irony is if we took all the carbon that's put in the air from the United States, the entire European Union, and Japan, is less carbon put in the air than China is putting in their air.
Yeah.
And you know what? We all have to share that air.
It's the collective air.
It is.
We don't get to claim.
We can't say, okay, well, we did our part, so we have clean air.
Well, you can see that when this age of wildfires that happen in Canada and then turn our skies, you know, it's everybody's air. So we all have some responsibility to take action.
So this is something that's going to be ongoing for a long time.
That's just a new farm that you've taken over a field of.
Yeah, well, Nathan had bought it.
Yeah.
And off of an estate. And unfortunately, a lot of rented farms are that way.
Yeah.
You know, the landowners don't want to spend any money. And so when you get a new ownership, then we're starting.
You got to make up for it. Yeah.
So it'll take us 15 years.
Yeah.
To get it to where we need it to be. But we've been here since 1838.
By the time Nathan's kids or somebody's nephews or
my grandkids are eighth generation, and they look like they're going to want to farm. So if that is the part that probably is the most rewarding, is that I see my sons with the attitude that legacy. Mm. It's not.
Yeah.
If you go through life and all you do is take and go through it with a narcissistic attitude, it's all about me. I'm going to take, I'm going to enjoy, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's a real shallow existence.
Yeah.
You should be measured by what you give, not by what you take.
The power is definitely in the give.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the way. My grandfather, way back in the day, he was one of the first that terraced. And my dad's always been conservation minded.
Yeah.
I have been.
Yeah.
And now my kids are. And it's always that we want to preserve what we have because maybe our kids will do it. And if they don't, somebody will be using that to produce food.
There's always a need for food.
There's always going to be a need for food. That's an everyday thing. And so we want to make sure that we are good stewards of what we have been put in charge of from the time that we have here on this earth.
That's a much better finale. So now I should ask you, if people want to find you, it's hemmebrothers.com.
Hemmebrothers.com. That's right.
Are you on all the social media channels?
Heck, I don't know.
That's for somebody else.
I know they do Instagram.
Okay.
I know that much.
I know they do Instagram. All right. Well, we are going to show them some video.
We're on Facebook.
And Facebook.
Oh,
See,
okay.
He's slowly getting it all together.
Yeah, I forget about Facebook. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and I'll share some photos and some video we took as we walked through the place because you're going to want to see this. It's really kind of neat to get to go in and see how they make the cheese. Some of it that was being pressed today that'll be wrapped tomorrow to be aged for the next however long year. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. David, thank you so much for having me out.
I'm glad you came out.